how's it going, everybody from YouTube? This is Negative1, late night stream on the Duel channel. Just going over the box leaks. The new box. It is called. Just a moment. Sign of Harpies. There we go. Sorry, but yeah. Looks like we're getting a lot of new cards. Predominantly wind monster support. As you see, Cyber, a lot of Harpy Lady monsters, also Mega Phantom Beast Dracosac, Dicostoemeral, so there's a lot of wind monsters. Also FAs, Formula athletes, so, you know, a lot of wind support. Granted, there are other cards and some cards that are seemingly a little random. The primary cards that are have been standing out are one, Lightning Vortex. So if you are not getting literally anything out of this box, or if you don't think anything in this box is ever gonna be meta, the card that is definitely gonna get used, even if it's not the best in the end, you're gonna see Blue Eyes from Lightning Vortex. Because if there's one thing Blue Eyes can do, it's discard cards. So just imagine you summon any number of monsters on your first turn. Blue Eyes Lightning Vortex destroys the whole board. End phase uses the stone to special summon a Vanilla or a Dragon Spirit of White, you know? It's like Karma Cup, but for the whole board. So, yeah, Lightning Vortex, even if it's not the best card, this is definitely a card you should expect to get used more. And I think, besides the fact that Lightning Vortex just wipes whole boards or all face-up monsters, I think this might be pushing the game in an interesting direction, because it encourages you to not commit a lot of monsters onto the field, and it also encourages decks that set monsters, you know? So generally more defensive strategies, I think, may benefit from this being added to the game. But at the same time, Lightning Vortex Blue Eyes seems really really OP, so maybe we'll just see, you know how a lot of tournaments are, Blue Eyes is played the most, but there are other decks. What happens is just that the entire meta is Blue Eyes, you know? So, yeah, Lightning Vortex, definitely a card to watch. I'd say, and it's super rare, so, you know, it's not an ultra rare. It's a neat card. As for the ultra rares, we're looking at Cyber / Harpy Lady, Mega Phantom Beast Dracosac, and Blade Armor Ninja. So, I'd say the least interesting here is Blade Armor Ninja. You use 2 level 4 warriors to make it, and then you can detach a material to target a ninja, most likely going to be itself, and then that monster can make 2 attacks during each of the battle phases. So, what can it do? It can deal 4,000 attack, or it can deal 4,000 damage, which is cool. So it's like a slightly better version of Gagaga Samurai, but it's less generic, so less decks are going to use it. So, I think this might get used a little bit, but because of the limitation of it needs 2 warrior monsters to be used, very few decks will actually put this to use. So you're probably going to see more other rank 4 monsters. Mega Phantom Beast Dracosac, I've heard a lot of stuff about this card. To my knowledge, it was used extensively in the TCG, because you just summon 2 tokens, and then you contribute 1 to destroy a card, but it's also indestructible while those tokens are up. Some key points about this card is that it's 2600, and 2600 is really relevant at the moment because Blue Eyes has 2500 defense, and Blue Eye Spirit Dragon has 2500 attack, so this is a decently relevant range for it to be able to swing over certain things. One of the issues is Blue Eyes has access to Twin Burst Dragon, and Twin Burst Dragon just invalidates any sort of, oh, this monster can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. Well, guess what? Twin Burst gets around that. So, Draco Stack is pretty good, but at the moment we don't have too many rank 7 like engines. Most of the decks that can make rank 7s are either not good at the moment or would invest a lot of resources into it. Possibly the best rank 7 engine in the game would probably be, you know, Dark Magician. You just summon 2 Dark Magician from the deck, banish a card, possibly with Circle, and then immediately after that you go into a Draco Sack, summon 2 tokens. So we might see a resurgence of Dark Magician, but at the same time we might not. Hard to say. Just because Dark Magician also has like consistency issues, but I know there is a new Dark Magician build going around, so there is a decent chance that Draco Sack gets used. I'll just say that. And then the other deck that can really summon level 7s consistently is Blackwings. The issue is that you're probably investing 2 Blackwing synchros into summoning a Draco Sack, so yeah, that's like the main issue there. Um, Another weakness is just like Duel Links zones. Because we only have 3 zones, even if you summon the Draco Sack and then summon the 2 tokens, like you can't have other monsters with Draco Sack on board. Like, just having the Draco Sack, you can't make another Draco Sack and then they're both like able to be protected by tokens, you know? So, a lot of a card like Draco Sack is definitely hampered by like the constraints of Duel Links, but we'll definitely still see if it goes somewhere. And then lastly, I want to kind of talk about Cyber/Harpy Lady and kind of like the Harpy Lady archetype and the sport that we're getting in general. So if you go through the entire Harpy Lady cards, you'll see that they don't actually have a tuner, but a neat thing about this card is that you essentially can summon it without a tuner as long as you're using Harpy monsters. So if for this card Synchro Summon, you can treat 1 Harpy monster you control as a tuner, so you just have 2 Harpy monsters. Neither one is a tuner naturally, but the Synchro monster like pretends one is a tuner. So it's like a Link summon, pretty much. But it's also a generic, so other decks can make it. Presently, we don't really have any like strong synchro decks that are making levels 8s, but this card is still like a pretty, like a potentially like meta boss monster, because its primary, like its really good effect is that when a spell or trap card or effect is activated, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls or 1 Harpy monster you control and then bounce it, return it to the hand. So if you have a, say, an Unending Nightmare, or a card like Unending Nightmare, on your opponent's turn, they summon their monster, and then you activate a card like Unending Nightmare. You don't activate its effect, you just flip it up, then you immediately just bounce their monster that they summon. And then on following turns, you can activate the effect of Unending Nightmare, and then the Harpy Lady will bounce other cards. So you kind of want, if you're considering on running Harpies, consider cards like Unending. Probably not this card specifically, but you want to look at like continuous traps or continuous, effects that can activate on once, not just once, but multiple times. Because that's how you're definitely going to get the most value out of Cyber Slash, is that you activate once, you bounce a card, and then on following turns you activate again, bounce more cards. So each and every turn, every chance you get, you just bounce more cards. So for that reason, I think this card definitely has some meta potential behind it. Looking at the Harpy monsters that we got as support, Channeler definitely seems like the best because you can discard a Harpy card and then special summon from deck. Harpy Harpist. The issue with Harpist is that you kind of need another Harpy monster on the field for it to get value. So when it's normal summon, you can target one other wing beast monster you control, and then you return both. So you aren't getting value out of it immediately, unless you have another Harpy monster that lets you summon out Harpist. So I think Harpist is probably not one of the cards you're going to focus on. You're probably going to see Channeler the most. Perfumer, let me double check this. Normal special summon, add one spell or trap card from your deck that specifically lists Harpy Lady Sisters in its text. Okay. And then it also has a second effect where if you control a level 5 or higher Harpy, you can special summon this. Or, no, sorry. If you control a level 5 or higher Harpy, when you activated this effect, you can also add a second such card with a different name. So this one might not be used quite as much. There are some good targets for it. So predominantly, not Hysteric Sign, where is it? Harpy Lady Elegance. This one specifically lists Harpy Lady Sisters, and so it's searchable because it's a Harpy Lady card, and the field effect is not that good. However, the grave effect is, let me just, is that the field effect, don't read the field effect, you're never going to use it. The grave effect, though, is if it's popped by a Harpy Lady card or your opponent's card effect. So what's going to happen is that you're going to probably be running Harpy's Hunting Ground, and then if you normal summon a Harpy monster, then you get to pop, then you mandatory pop a spell or trap card. So you set Elegance and then pop it with your own field spell, and then this card lets you search your deck for a Harpy monster. So I would say this is definitely an interesting card you will want to look out for. Trying to think if there's anything else with the Harpy ladies. Chat, did I miss anything about Harpy ladies? Oh wait, I forgot to mention Hysteric Sign. Oh yeah, so Hysteric Sign, the main effect is add one Elegant Egotist from your deck or graveyard to the hand, but the grave effect, as you might notice, a lot of the grave effects with the Harpy Lady cards are much better than their field effects. But their grave effect is during the end phase, if it was sent from hand or field this turn, add up to 3 Harpy cards with different names from your deck to your hand. So this is a +3. Like, this is a really good effect. The only issue is that it's an end phase, so I think there might be some issues with Harpies, like speed. Definitely, like, they just might not have the chance to, get started quite as fast as you might want them to. They can generate a ton of advantage with Hysteric Sign. They have some decent consistency with Channeler because it specials from deck. Elegance can search from deck, so there are options. There are consistency tools. It's just a matter of how fast the deck can play. There's also other cards. There is a quick play. There is a quick play spell that we have that I am trying to my best. Winged Swallow's Nest. Here we go. Tribute 1 face up Winged Beast monster, special summon 1 Winged Beast monster from your deck with the same level as the attributed head on the field. So this is definitely another card that you're going to want to look out for in Harpy, because this will, like, they have so many consistency tools, It's less about how consistent they are and how more about how fast can they really put to use like the card advantage they generate. So in addition to all of these cards, I would say another card you might want to look out for is Dark Coffin. So Dark Coffin, I don't remember exactly where we get it. I think it's a level up reward from like Odeon or someone. But the point is that when it's destroyed, you can have your opponent select one of the effects. So they either send a card from their hand to the graveyard, or they send one monster on their side of the field to the graveyard. And the point is that you're able to turn one, like send cards from your opponent's hand to the grave, which I think, if you haven't noticed by now, sending cards from your opponent's hand, that's a pretty strong effect. So this is another card that you might want to look out for in terms of Harpy cards, or cards that will be used in Harpies. Moving on, I think Crimson Shadow Armor Ninja. I think just going into the ninja cards. Okay, going into the ninja cards, I think the new XYZ, not that crazy about it. Once per turn, you during either player's turn, you detach a material and then target a ninja, probably itself, and then that card just can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. This doesn't seem that good as a ninja card because it's a level 5. You're not gonna get a whole lot of value out of it, IMO at least. So definitely, you might see this get used in maybe like Thunder Dragons because they can summon 2 darks, for instance. But generally, I don't think this is gonna see too much play, as of now, at least. Just like it doesn't really have stellar stats. 26,400 is kind of low by modern standards, and yeah. So this card itself is not that great. However, Armor Ninjutsu Art of Rust Mist. I'm not sure how good this card actually is, but this is one of the cards you should probably look out for, or like you should watch, because there's a chance that this is just going to be a cheese card. Like, you know how, like, you know how Kite Roid, or there's just like, there's always some sort of like like super slow or defensive strategy that people hate playing against on ladder, like whether it be Metaphys or etc. etc. This might be one of those cards. So what the effect is, while you control a ninja, your opponent, if there's a monster special summoned to your opponent's side of the field, that monster's attack is halved. What this means is, if your opponent is special summoning a monster, say you have Hanzo. Oh, let me remove filters. Hanzo. Say you have Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo on field, or you normal summon Hanzo, you search for Rust Mist. Draw phase, you flip up Rust Mist. If your opponent special summons a monster, they need to summon a 3,600 attack monster to even trade with Hanzo. So Rust Mist definitely seems one of those cheese cards that, like, in reality it's not that great, but the impact, even if the card leaves the field, yes. Someone asked in chat. It says when a monster is special summoned to your opponent's side of the field, if you control a ninja monster, have the current attack of that special summoned monster. So immediately when their monster guts out, have its attack. So it's permanent. It's permanent, yes. At no point in this effect does it say until the end of this turn or while this card is on the field. Like, you just half the monster's attack. So yeah, this is once again, will this be meta? Probably not. But will this be some cheese card that you're gonna see on ladder every once in a while? I think possibly yes. So that's kind of why I like. Oh, okay. Omega decided I didn't want that card. Anyway, but yeah, that's one card that's gonna get used, possibly. I think at least. Dicostoemeral, sorry. I know this card got used a lot in TCG. However, there's some issues with it that I think might prevent it from seeing like a bunch of use in Duel Links. As I mentioned with Dracossack, you have limited space in Duel Links. With 3 zones, you're only really able to make 2 XYZs at any given time. So a card like Emerald really benefits from like 5 monster card zones. So summoning the Emerald in only 2 monster zones is really weak because you're just recovering cards to draw one. Typically that's not enough. Most of the time, like, recovery is not that great in Duel Links just because we don't have like like for example, Master with Eyes of Blue, Master with Master with Eyes of Blue. When this card is normal summon, target one level 1 light tuner monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and then if it's in the graveyard, you can target an effect monster you control, shuffle this card into the deck, and then special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard. This is a great effect, but it's a recovery card. Dicostoemeral is like a cool effect, but it's a recovery card. So, does it have a good effect? Yes. But you have to understand that in Duel Links, a lot of recovery cards generally just don't translate correctly. Like, the issue is that it's a recovery card, it's an extender, but the space that or the card advantage that you have to invest into Dicostoemeral and like the combos that we have in Duel Links are not as lengthy as TCG. So like in TCG you thin a bunch of cards in your combos, while in Duel Links, if you turn 1 cards of consonance, that is considered a fast turn. All right, like if you have 4 cards in the graveyard during your end phase, that's like a very productive turn. All right. So we're just not going to get value out of this card the same way we will in TCG. So I think this is a card to look out for potentially, but for now, or for the time being, this is definitely not going to get used. Or if it gets used, it'll be to very little effect. Number 7, Lucky Straight, requires 3 level 7 monsters, so I can almost guarantee this will see absolutely no use. And then FAs is the last archetype I haven't talked about. FAs is another deck that I kind of like. Just reading some of the cards, FA Hangon Mock, like this is a really strong card from what I've seen. All of the FA monsters have the effect of it gains attack equal to its level times 300, and all of their cards are really focused on manipulating their levels. So at the start it's level 4, so it only has 1200, but all of the field spells increase their level or change what the level is, and they all have this effect of each time an FA spell or card or effect is activated, keyword card or effect is activated, increase this card's level by 1. And then if an FA monster is level 7 or higher, then it gains a secondary effect. So Hangon Mock gets the effect of any card sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. So this right here, that is nuts. Turn 1, you normal summon Hangon Mock, and then you activate Off-Road Grand Prix. Immediately, you banish every card your opponent tries to send to the graveyard. Your opponent activates cards of consonance, the stone gets banished. They activate just like Excel Draw, those cards get banished. Dark Lord, anything that goes to the graveyard gets banished. If Dweller tries to activate, the monster that it sends to the graveyard will get banished, so Dweller doesn't even pop anything. So you gotta think that this combo is really impactful, and even if it's not immediately good, this is something I would pay attention to at the very least. Um, all of the FAs have um, 2 field spells presently. I'm not sure if there are more. Maybe there are. Each one has an effect where off-road will increase all of the FA monster levels by 2 during the main phase, and then Circuit Grand Prix will do the same, but during the battle phase. But just looking at their effects, off-road is better because the main phase is where you definitely want the effect for Hangon Mock. Grand Prix has the effect of if one of your FAs is destroyed by battle, your opponent discards a card, so that's really good. But it also has a floating effect where if it gets destroyed, you can add, I think it's 1 FA card. Let me... Okay. Grand Prix. Yeah, here we go. I keep selecting the wrong card. Yeah, you just add 1 FA card, which is pretty good. So FAs are probably going to have synergy with Ancient Fairy Dragon. I've heard that the deck used AFD in TCG. I don't know for certain. I've literally never played TCG, so correct me if I'm wrong. Go ahead. But I think this is another deck that I would look out for. It has some neat interactions. Auto Navigator is a pretty good card, and just like going into AFD and then blowing up the field spell, searching another card. So, and not to mention, like, each time you activate a card or effect, keyword card, spell trap card or effect is activated, you get to increase their level. So you activate the field spell, and it increases by 1. You pop the field spell, the float effect activates. I'm not showing a field spell. The float effect activates, so their level increases by 1 again. So yes, just like getting off the effect multiple times is going to be an interesting, just like way to really boost their levels. And I think out of all of the 1 FA monsters we're giving, Auto Navigator and Hangon Mock are definitely the best. The other ones are kind of lackluster, I think. Except the Synchro monster, which is... Anyway, I'll just read this. It's a level 9 light machine, generic materials. Gains attack equal to level times 300. Each time, FA card, spell or trap activated, increase level, you get the point. And then it gains the following effects depending on its level. If it's 11 or higher, it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. And then if it's 13 or higher, you get a free revive of any FA monster once per turn. So if you just like activate 2 Grand Prix or like 2 FA effects, then Motorhome becomes indestructible, essentially. And if you have Circuit Grand Prix, then actually if you just like activate effects, like this card seems so nuts. There are ways to out it, like the meta has Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon, which can out this card, but for the time being, this seems like a really neat card. And I think Sight Reflector might get value out of this deck, just because it can make the level 7 AFD, You can also make the level 9 motorhome. So at any point in a combo, it can, it can either be a starter to make AFD to pop a field spell, or it can be an extender to, after an AFD, going into a motorhome. So I think this is definitely a card you might want to look at if you're going to play FAs. Man, I've been talking for a long time. Circus, I hope you edit this well, because I've been talking way too much. And then I think, alright, lastly, some cards that seem randomly in the box are like the dice roll cards. So you look at dice lops. Once per turn, roll a 6-sided die. If you roll a 1, you look at your opponent's hand and you discard a card. Wow, pretty good. If you roll a 2 through 5, discard a card, and if you roll a 6, discard your whole hand. Okay, maybe not as good. However, asterisks, we are getting Duel, for those that don't know. So we are getting skills with dice rolls. So there's potential that a card like this is valuable simply because it has a good effect. Alright? If Duke has like one skill that lets you decide a dice roll, something like this would be kind of nuts, because turn 1 you just normal summon, and then you look at your opponent's hand, discard a card. So if we get any skill that lets you decide dice rolls, like Duke Devlin, that's gonna be it's gonna be annoying, and then you're not gonna like it. But yeah, this is this. If you can't decide dice rolls, this delete it. You may as well not look at it. But if you can decide dice rolls, something like this will be good, or something like this will be kind of degenerate. And another card, Cuban. Normally, it's once per turn you roll a 6-sided die, and then while this monster is face up on the field, neither player can normal or special summon monsters on the same level as that result. So if you can decide dice rolls, once again, if you can decide dice rolls, normal summon, call 4, and then decks that summon level 4s cannot do anything. Alright? They have to set their monsters. Okay? So, yeah, I think something... If there's a skill that lets you decide dice rolls... Someone already said Master of Destiny in chat, but yeah, if you get like a Master of Destiny's type of skill with dice rolls, like, look out for some of these cards, because they're kind of wild. But if we don't ignore this entire section, feel free, carry on. But yeah, this has been Negative1. Thanks for watching this long-winded review of all the new cards in this box. Definitely look out for Lightning Vortex. Definitely look out for possibly Harpies becoming, a potential meta deck. They have a lot of consistency tools and a really cool boss monster to mess around with. And I think this time the Exceed pool is kind of lacking, but we're not in the shortage of interesting cards to mess around with. But yeah, hopefully this changes the meta. If not, we're literally gonna see like top 32s be 32 Blue Eyes. Everybody runs Lightning Vortex. Nobody's having fun. But either way, I'm optimistic about it. Hopefully FAs do some cool stuff. And yeah, take it easy, guys.